Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, it's going to be a bit of an extensive one. We're going to talk about all of the hidden costs when it comes to purchasing a property. This is probably one of the most common questions I get in terms of what exactly am I going to spend for this property? Although the sticker price may say $300 or $500 or $1 million, what is it actually going to cost me to get into this home? So in this video, we're going to cover it all. It will be tailored a little bit to BC as well, where I'm located. So if that doesn't interest you, you can move along to the next video. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get rolling. So when you purchase a property, the first thing that you're going to have to be concerned with outside of the actual purchase price is your down payment. Now, down payment, it can vary depending on obviously how much cash you have and the lender requirement. But typically what I've seen for the most part is down payments start at around 5%, and then based on property price or your financial situation, you may be looking at putting 5, 10, 15, 20, 30% down. It can very much vary, but if you're looking at putting the smallest portion amount down, at least here in Canada, for most properties, you're looking at 5% as a down payment. Now, that is not to be confused with a deposit. The deposit gets paid after subject removal or during subject removal process right at the end when you remove subjects. The down payment is in fact paid at closing time. Again, it can vary, but starts at 5% here in Canada based on purchase price. So the second cost that you need to factor in is the property appraisal. So when you go to the bank and you go to a lender, you ask them for a mortgage on a property, they're going to send out a property appraiser to assess that property. This is typically going to happen during your subject removal period. And what's going to happen is the appraiser is going to show up and they need to protect the bank's investment in that property. So they're going to look and make sure A, that the property exists, but B, does it have the bedrooms you said it did? Does it have the mortgage helper suite? What are typical rents on that mortgage helper? So they're going to assess the property and make sure that the price you're paying for the home is actually what it's worth. And if not, as a purchaser, you're going to have to make up the difference. So the appraisal itself, it can be anywhere between around $300 to $500. Now, typically a lot of lenders will cover that for you. They'll have you pay for that appraisal up front and then credit you back. Again, this is specific to your situation, so you'll want to talk to your lender or mortgage broker. But again, a lot of times from what I've seen, it is covered for you, but you do have to factor that in, $300 to $500 for that appraisal, and you cross your fingers. You hope it comes in at the right amount where you need it to, so that you're able to move forward on the property. So the next cost for you to be aware of is a property inspection, a home inspection. Now, you can purchase a property without a home inspection. I never recommend doing it. For most people, purchasing a home is their largest purchase in their lifetime. It's so significant. You want to pay to have that peace of mind and have a professional come in and assess that property in terms of what repairs need to be done today, what can maybe wait, and anything that you need to be aware of with that property. Now, home inspections, they vary quite a bit depending on property type, how large the property is, how long it's going to take the inspector to do the inspection, but you're looking at anywhere between $300 to right up to $600, again, depending on the property type for that home inspection. Again, you will typically have this before your subject removal period, so you're able to make an informed decision on whether to remove subjects and move forward. Again, factor that cost into your purchase. So at this point, you're ready to actually remove subjects on the property and move forward with the purchase. So the costs that we're going to talk about now, they're going to come between the subject removal period and the actual closing of the property when you get the keys. The next one to talk about are legal fees. So here in BC, you can go to either a notary or a lawyer to do what's called the conveyance of the property. Essentially, what the conveyance means is they are transferring the legal title or the legal ownership into your name. For legal fees or notary fees, you're looking at around $1,000. When you're purchasing versus selling, you do pay a little bit more, say $1,000 to $1,200 or so. And what they'll make sure happens, the lawyer and the notaries, is they'll make sure that if there are any charges on title that need to be cleared, they will do that. They will also create what's called a statement of adjustments, which basically shows you the breakdown of the different costs when purchasing your property. Again, legal fees definitely have to count on paying those, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 when you're purchasing a property. So the next cost that you may have to be concerned with is called mortgage default insurance. What mortgage default insurance is, it can get a little confusing. A lot of times people hear default insurance and they think as buyers that they're being protected from something. Mortgage default insurance actually does not protect you. It protects a lender here in Canada when you're putting less than 20% down. So this only comes into play if you're putting less than that percentage down. It's typically between around, from what I've seen, 2 to 4% of the mortgage amount, so not the total purchase price, and it typically gets applied to your actual mortgage. So it will come out of your monthly mortgage payment, your bi-weekly payment. It will just add to that payment, so you don't have to take care of it separately. Again, here in Canada, you only need to pay for that default insurance if you're putting less than 20% down. There's a few insurance providers that provide that service, but again, something that you will need to factor in as an additional cost to purchasing the property. So the next cost is called title insurance. Now, title insurance, it's not mandatory here in BC. What I've noticed with my clients, it's about 50-50 in terms of how many clients are actually purchasing the title insurance. It starts around $250, works its way up depending on purchase price, say $250 to $350. And the easiest way for me to explain what title insurance is quickly is it protects you as the purchaser against any fraudulent or forgery type activity in terms of the title or the legal deed of the property. So it protects your ownership in that property. Again, it's not mandatory. It's about a 50-50 split who takes it, who doesn't. If it's something that you do want to get more information on, I would definitely talk to either your real estate lawyer or your mortgage broker, but it is an option for you and something to factor in terms of an additional cost when you're purchasing a home. So the next cost, and I know this is sounding like a super long list, but we're getting there. The next cost to be aware of is your home insurance. I can't quote an actual dollar amount for you. It's typically paid annually, and of course it depends on your coverage. To what dollar amount are you covering yourself in terms of your personal belongings. So you'll want to talk with a home insurance expert or broker in regards to that, but factor in that you're going to have to take out home insurance. Oftentimes when we write offers on property, we make them subject to being able to obtain home insurance, and this is so that our buyers, our clients, know what they're going to have to pay for that, and it's not a surprise to them after they've already purchased the property. So factor in home insurance as another cost, hidden cost of when you're purchasing a home. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here in BC, another cost, and this is not a fee per se, this is actually a tax, is property transfer tax, and this can be a very significant cost. As we all know, living where we do, wherever you do, there's always taxes anytime you want to purchase anything, and real estate is no different. So there's what's called a property transfer tax. So how property transfer tax works is it's 1% on the first $200,000 of purchase price. It's 2% from there on up to $2 million, and it works its way up from there. Just as an easy example, we'll take a $500,000 purchase price. So 1% on the first $200,000, that's going to be $2,000. And on the remaining $300,000, you pay 2%. So it's $6,000 plus the $2,000, $8,000 in taxes on a $500,000 property. Now, in certain instances, you can be PTT or property transfer tax exempt. So definitely talk to your real estate agent about that in terms of whether you might be exempt from paying that tax. Now, I'd like to say that that's the only tax you pay on real estate, and often it is. However, there is also GST to be paid on new properties as well as commercial properties, but for the sake of this video, we'll just talk about new residential properties. So if you're buying a new condominium unit, a new detached home, now GST, it can be negotiated, whether you pay it as a buyer or the seller is going to cover it. It does need to be negotiated in the contract, but typically if it's not explicitly stated that the seller is going to pay for that, it's typically borne by the buyer. So that's why your contract needs to be very tight, and it needs to address GST if you're purchasing a new property. As most of us know, GST is 5%. It's that same 5% on real estate as well. So you may be having to pay an applicable GST on your purchase, something to factor in. So guys, we're almost there. One of the things that the lawyers do at the closing table, I mentioned it earlier, is the statement of adjustments. With statement of adjustments, what they do is they actually prorate property taxes and utility charges based on the date that you're moving in. So there may be a portion that you are paying for your time period of that year that you're going to be utilizing the property. Again, this is why the lawyers and the notaries are paid, because they can create this adjustment and they can sit down virtually with the other law firm or notary and make sure that all the checks and balances are completed. But just something to factor in is you will pay a prorated amount for city utilities and property taxes, condo fees as well. These will all be charged prorated at the closing table. So that's yet another cost you need to be aware of when you're purchasing a property. Okay guys, well, thanks for sticking around till the end. There's two more costs I want to talk about. The first is if you're moving into a strata building, there's often a strata move-in fee. It's about $100 to $200. You do need to book in advance sometimes, the elevators, but the strata corporation will charge you up to $200. It's about $100 to $200 from what I've seen. And lastly, moving expenses. I like to say these greatly vary depending on how popular you are, how many friends you have. If you have a lot of friends that are going to help you move, this obviously comes down. If you're going to be hiring people to move all of your belongings and you have a lot of belongings, it actually goes up. So I can't really quote how much it might cost because your scenario is specific. Maybe you budget for, $500 to $1,000 plus some pizza and some drinks. But again, it will vary, but it's often forgotten as a cost that you will incur when you're purchasing a property. So again, guys, I hope that you found some value and you learned a little bit in terms of the true cost of purchasing a home. If you did, I'd love it if you could subscribe to this video, hit the bell notification icon, and I'll create more videos like this. If you have ideas for any videos that I can create or questions I can answer for you, please drop them in the comments below. And if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in Vancouver and you want some help, my contact info is in the description. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry this video dragged on, but again, I hope there's a lot of useful content for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.